Hi, welcome to this video, which is a demo of ComfyUI-LongLook, which is aimed to improve long chunked Wan 2.2 generations. It's based on a scientific paper. All the info you want on that is in the description. I've called the node after the paper, which is called FreeLong, Spectral Blending. Effectively, what it does is when ComfyUI generates the motion initially for a scene before it starts effectively rendering out and producing it, it makes sure that that applies more consistently through the generation. It does mean sometimes it might do less random things, but it leads to more consistency, which leads to you being far more likely able to chunk an animation to something that feels consistent. There is a demo at the end of this video and a link to the GitHub in the description. But just for a quick guide, starting image is in the example workflow with the folder. It's defaulting to 0.4 megapixels. Lower this if you're having RAM issues or VRAM issues, and obviously you can change your video models to GGUF, GGUF or GIGUF, whichever models. Here, as you can see, I've got the standard models here, FP8 versions, FP8 scaled versions. I'm using get and set nodes just to make things a bit more visible. This here is kind of my recommended to start playing with strength. Effectively, this is the strength of the actual node. This is the strength of how important motion is to you. There are detailed tooltips for each of these. This is the frames within the generation where I guess the motion memory. I find that with this car stuff, having it below the number of frames in the actual, because it's 81 frames per video, but I've got this set to 29, and I found that allows a bit more variation in camera angle and wiggle of the car within the generation. But this blend strength at 0.8 helps keep it like on track. Now, if you go down to here, you see the first chunk being effectively the first clip, which is generated here. The FreeLong model is being passed directly into using the get and set node into here. Then you have, that's the output from the first clip. And then you have these other chunks. Now I'm going to open up the subgraph for one of these. Let me see. And you can see here the subgraph for that. I've got this continuation conditioning node, which is also effectively just really passes the image from the previous generation into the new sampler. It's just quite a neat and tidy way to do that. And then we're back out here at this view here, and you see all these different 81 frame chunks being brought together and passed into an output video. And then optionally, you can pass it to Rife and double your FPS to 32 frames a second. This for me in my test has produced vastly improved consistency. It's not perfect because at the end of the day, we're still working with a model that's been trained on a maximum 81 frames per chunk, but it is, in my opinion, quite an improvement. There is another workflow in the folder, which is just for improving the quality of single generations that are beyond 81 frames. In my mileage, it helps 50% of the time, and 50% doesn't. The real value for me with the scientific paper seems to be improving the consistency within the 81 frames, allowing you to get more stable generations, which are far more likely to lead to better stitching when you go to do that. I'm going to put a clip on now, which is a demo of the exact same generation with the FreeLook. The only difference between the two is this node disabled, and you can see quite a difference in the generation.